Hello everyone, my name is Phawx. This is the GPI case by Retroflag. They're most known for their little tiny cases for the smaller Genesis or the smaller old Nintendo, the original NES. But now they are doing something that is super exciting, and they're making something that is the original Game Boy style, maybe a little bit smaller. We can show some comparison sizes to that in a moment. This is only compatible with the Raspberry Pi Zero or the Zero W, which is kind of a benefit because it keeps it small. Additionally, the Zero is really inexpensive, especially if you can get it what it should be priced at with $5. Micro Centers around the US always charge exactly what it costs. In fact, the Zero W was discounted to $5 at Micro Center recently, and they're usually in stock, so they're pretty easy to find. This is going to be my unboxing and a quick impressions. This is not going to be a full review. That will be coming later. I still owe that for the LDK. I do apologize to the people that have been watching that and have been anticipating that. Real work for me has been killing me lately, but thankfully it's coming to an end. Thank you very much to Retroflag. They did send this out to me for review. I do appreciate it. If you're interested in buying this, the description for it will be, the link for it will be in the description field below. It will jump you over to Amazon because by the time you're seeing this, it will be live. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the case. It's pretty handsome. Pretty nice case, pretty straightforward. Now, the only thing that this case is going to provide you is everything you need. The only thing that you're going to need to bring to the party outside of this is a Raspberry Pi Zero and a microSD card. Those are the only two things that are not going to be included with this. So without further ado, let's look at what's inside the box. And I really like this because this is quite similar to how Nintendo actually does their boxes, especially for like the 3DS and other things for their older handhelds. Not for the Switch, but for their handhelds for sure, the DS line, the 3DS line. Here's some instructions. We have we have Phillips and flathead on here that's reversible. That's cool. You have your micro USB to a little ribbon cable that will connect to a ZIF connector, I suppose, on the board. And then we have all of our screws, which is going to mount our Raspberry Pi Zero. What else do we have in here? We seem to have some type of USB to something. I would think that this is going to charge it, but in here, oh, NDC dual power input. Oh, that's pretty interesting. So you can power this off of this guy or AA batteries, 3 AA batteries. That's pretty neat. That's pretty cool. So I would have preferred if it was a more standard connector, because if you ever lose this, you're going to be kind of screwed. So that's kind of not great, but you know, it's nice that they include it. I would only ever be really using it for with the 3 AA batteries. Now, without further ado, let's take a look at this sucker. Look at this Retroflag GPI case. There was a protective covering here. I took it off. And then here is the protective covering for the screen, and we'll do that later. So let's just take a look at this. So here is the RS-97, the retro game. You can see right here that it is, obviously the original Game Boy is a bit taller, goes up here. So this is almost like a Game Boy Mini, but Game Boy Mini, the smaller Game Boy, but chunkier, like the Game Boy Light. But this is just like a easy, quick size comparison. It's got a good size to it. And right here you can see the little shoulder buttons. In here will give us access to the safety shutdown. Right now it's on off. You should only flip it on after you install the safe shutdown script so that it can operate properly. Here's a little micro USB port in there. It's hard to see. Can we see in there? Right there is a micro USB port. There's a female micro USB port right there. That's pretty cool. I guess it's so that we can, hopefully we can access the Raspberry Pi Zero. And here, which this is really cool. So everything's going to live up in here, and we have our micro SD that's going to go in here. So without further ado, let's look at how we're going to attach this. So we will open this up, and here are the pogo pins on here. This is the business end of how we're going to connect to everything. And right here you can see these pogo pins. And that'll connect to the GPIO ports on the GPIO pins on the Raspberry Pi Zero right there. And then right here is that ZIF connector for that micro USB to that ribbon cable, and it's going to go right in here. So we'll kind of just pull that out a little, and we'll just insert it. That'll be easy peasy. So let's follow the directions. It says 1 safe shutdown script. We are off. Okay, yeah, we took that out. All right, shell open. Shell 1. Is it numbered in here? I don't see anything. All right, well, shell 1 is, this is shell 2, and this is shell 1. So they want us to put the Raspberry Pi Zero. First things first, they want us to take the micro USB port. Little Microsd cover fell out already. Okay. I'm going to fast forward past this. Alright, so just to jump ahead, I've gone ahead and connected that micro USB port with the ribbon cable right there. You can see that we do these steps, and now we're in the screwing step. Here you're going to be using a flathead to screw these parts in. Let's see if we can focus there. Okay, we got that part. Now to fast forward to the next part. Alright, the next step, we're going to be connecting this ribbon cable to the zip connector. You're just going to pull these little tabs out, insert, and then squeeze them shut. And then we're going to close the shell. But before we close the shell, we have to put in the little cover for the micro USB port. I'm putting it in wrong. There we go. Now that that's covered, now we can close up the shell. Alright, and that's installed. When you install this, I do recommend a crisscross method, so you're going to go either one way. I prefer doing this top. Again, don't tighten in all the way first, just get it so that's set. Then you're going to want to tighten these two, not all the way, and then go around and tighten them all 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. And now we're ready to insert the microSD card, which we'll go ahead and do that. And then we'll connect it and power it on. One thing that I would have liked here is a little indicator to show which way to insert the microSD card, because I did put it in the wrong way initially at first. You're going to want label facing this way when you're putting it install. Alright, so that's there, that's installed. Let's get it inside and with batteries, and we'll see what happens. Now remember, when you put this in, make sure that the power is not on, but when you're ready, is this fitting flush enough? Let's turn it on. See what happens. You can see the little indicator light. Let's see if there's life. Nope, there it is. And we can see that the display is already working, so the patch that I applied is working correctly. Looks like the display is either messing up or it's rebooting. Yeah, it's just rebooting. So now what I'm going to need to do is, after this goes through the initial setup phase, oh man, that screen is nice. Holy Toledo, that is 1/6 screen. So this is an IPS panel. It is super nice. Where's my volume? Well, that feels good too. This feels really firm. That's really nice. So again, when you want to install this, it's really simple. You're going to be following all the other instructions that you do at the same. You're going to be using Win32 Imager or Etcher. You will be getting the image, writing the image to the microSD card. Then you'll be taking the small patch file and just follow the root file system. You're going to take the folder itself and put it into the root of your boot directory that's going to be available on Windows. It's going to be the only partition that will be writable by Windows or even readable by Windows. So you're going to put that in there, and then you're going to go inside and then run the install, and then it'll patch it so that the display works on these via the GPI opens versus HDMI. Up, down, left, right, start, select A, B, X, Y, left shoulder, right shoulder, and we're there. You didn't choose a hotkey enable button. This is required for exiting games with a controller. Do you want to use the select button by default? Yes. Alright, so right now all I have is the base RetroPie stuff, so I'm going to have to go ahead and connect this some way, somehow, and try to download all the cores and stuff. So give me a moment while I go ahead and do that. Alrighty, so I just put on a few ROMs on here just to kind of check out things how they are. We have Mega Man X3 and Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. Trying to figure out what's more comfortable for me to... Feels like using my middle fingers to press the trigger buttons on the back are how it should be operated. Because if I do it like this, it feels a little too cramped. That makes sense. And frame rate is perfect. I mean, it is very obvious, especially like when you're using like the LDK or the RS-97, those devices that just can't really run this game all that well. Get closer to this. The screen is really nice too. Here's the sound. That's maxed out. Alright, I'm pretty satisfied with this. It's a bit of a weird noise. It's not present when games are running. Is it? It's still there. This seems to be running relatively well. There's a few hitches here and there. Oh, there's some tearing going on as well. You can see some vertical tearing. Oh, this is running pretty well. There is some tearing going on there. I don't know if you can see it as we're like, look at like over here, there's some tearing that happens. But it's running pretty well considering. Like this is easily playable. Oh no, not the sound. Okay, so I mean this is running extremely well, so I'm actually quite pleased with how well that's running. Let's go ahead and take a look at Gameboy itself. There is some weird noise coming out when I have it maxed out. When I take it to about 70%, the noise goes away. This is nice. I remember that fireballs can collect coins. I honestly don't remember these. It's sounding like this. Nice. So this is a quick look at the GPI case. This is going to be another. I do have a weird audio issue happening. It is only present at max volume. Seems like at 50% volume. I'm going to see if I can take a look. I know that there's an FAQ on the website, but overall this is a super solid way to use a RetroPie 0 and get it into a portable. It took about 10 minutes to set up, not including the image writing to the SD card. Right now I can very much recommend it. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. As always, thank you for your time, and thanks for watching.